The burrito was barely warm, and definitely not worth the $2 I shoved into the vending machine. But at 5:30 in the morning, in the back room of a strip mall discount store, it was all I had. I took a bite, chewing slowly, my eyes half closed as I sat on an overturned box behind the employee lockers. It was my quiet spot before the early shift kicked in. That's when my phone rang. I glanced down at the screen. Unknown number. I almost let it go. No one calls me at that hour unless it's a scam, a mistake, or an emergency. I let it ring once, twice, 3 times. Then, on the 4th ring, I sighed and answered. Hello? Is this Maya Delgado? The voice was professional and clear. Female, probably mid-40s. Yeah, who's this? My name is Claire Madsen. I'm an attorney with Madsen and Gold LLP. I represent the estate of Gloria Winters. I blinked. The name hit me like a slap. Wait, Gloria Winters, as in my grandmother? That's correct. I stood up so fast the burrito fell to the floor. That can't be right. I mean, I wasn't even allowed at her funeral. I thought she didn't consider me family. There was a pause on the line, the kind that made your skin prickle. I understand that's what you were told, Claire said carefully. But Ms. Winters left specific instructions regarding you. I really think it would be best if we met in person. I couldn't wrap my head around it. My grandmother had been dead almost 3 months. I hadn't even been told until a week after the funeral. I remembered the way my stepmom Carla had said it. It wasn't your place to be there, Maya. You weren't really close. I laughed bitterly. I think you've got the wrong Maya Delgado, or the wrong idea. Gloria Winters didn't want anything to do with me. My dad said she cut us off after my mom died. I understand this is surprising, Claire replied, her tone softening just slightly. But I assure you, I'm not mistaken. Miss Winters left a sealed letter addressed to you, personally. A letter, that word hit different. Gloria Winters was old school. She didn't text, didn't email. If she wrote a letter, it was serious. I rubbed my forehead, heart pounding. You're saying she left me something? Yes, Claire said. And I believe it's important you read the letter before drawing any conclusions. Are you available to come into my office this afternoon? I looked around at the cinder block walls, the flickering fluorescent light above the lockers. I thought about the new floor manager who yelled at me for clocking in 1 minute late last week, and the pile of laundry waiting at the apartment I shared with 2 girls I barely knew. Yeah, I said slowly. Yeah, I can come in. After we hung up, I just stood there, still holding the phone. Gloria Winters, my mother's mother, the one who disappeared from my life after the accident, the one I was told never wanted me. But now there was a lawyer calling me before sunrise with a letter from her hand. Whatever was in that envelope, it was about to change everything. Claire Madsen's office was in a sleek building downtown, the kind with mirrored windows and a marble lobby that smelled like lemon polish and new money. I felt out of place the second I walked in, wearing my faded jeans and thrifted cardigan. I'd even tried to comb my hair for once, but it still looked like I'd slept in it, which I had on the couch last night after a roommate argument about cleaning duties. Claire greeted me with a firm handshake and led me into her office. She wore a navy pantsuit, no nonsense, with tortoiseshell glasses that made her look like someone who didn't waste time repeating herself. Thank you for coming, Miss Delgado, she said, gesturing to the chair across from her desk. I sat down, clutching my backpack on my lap like it was armor. So, this is about Gloria? Yes, Claire said, opening a leather folder. Your grandmother, Gloria Winters, named you as the primary beneficiary in her will. I blinked. I'm sorry. What? Claire didn't blink. She left you her entire estate. That includes a property in Lake Ridge, a cabin on the lake, as well as investment accounts, savings, and liquid assets totaling approximately $2.1 million. It felt like the room tilted. I let out a weird laugh that sounded more like a cough. That has to be a mistake. My dad told me I wasn't even her biological granddaughter. He said I was adopted. Claire nodded slowly, like she'd been expecting that. Your father is Alan Delgado, correct? Yeah. And your mother was Tessa Winters. I sat up straighter. My mom's name was Tessa. She died when I was really young. In a ferry accident, Claire said. You were 2 years old. Tessa was Gloria's only child, her biological daughter. I just stared at her. Claire pulled a sealed envelope from the folder and slid it across the desk. Gloria wrote this for you. It may help clarify things. My hands were shaking as I picked it up. The envelope had my name on it in elegant cursive. Maya. I didn't open it. Not yet. I don't understand, I said. If she wanted me to have this, why didn't she ever try to see me? Why was I told I wasn't hers? Claire leaned forward. According to Gloria's will and personal correspondence, after your mother's death, your father remarried quickly. His new wife, Carla, discouraged any relationship with Gloria. Over time, communication was cut off entirely. Carla always hated when I brought up my mom, I said quietly. She said I should be grateful I got a second chance at a family. Claire nodded. Gloria never believed that. She tried to stay involved. When that failed, she hired a private investigator to make sure you were safe. She knew about your jobs, your roommates, even the time you spent in the emergency room after working a double and collapsing. That last part hit me like a punch. Claire gestured toward the envelope. I think you should read the letter, but just know, she never stopped caring. She just couldn't reach you. I looked down at the envelope again. Maya. For the first time in my life, I had questions. But more than that, I finally had someone who'd fought to love me, even when I didn't know it. And now, I was about to hear her voice again. I read the letter 3 times in Claire's office. The first time, my eyes skimmed every word without absorbing any of them. The second time, I caught the shape of the truth. Names, timelines, memories I didn't even know I had. The third time, I cried. Gloria's handwriting was strong, deliberate, the kind of cursive you don't see anymore. She started with my name and ended with love, and everything in between shattered the version of my life I thought I knew. She wrote about my mom, Tessa, with so much tenderness. I felt like I could see her again, laughing on a beach, holding me close, brushing my hair. I'd grown up thinking of her as a ghost, but Gloria made her real. She wrote about how Tessa was the best thing I ever made, and how she saw the same fire in me. Then came the part about my dad. Alan had been devastated after the accident, Gloria wrote, but not for long. Within 6 months, he was married to Carla, a woman who, according to Gloria, saw me as a threat the moment I stepped into their lives. Gloria had tried to visit. She sent birthday cards, gifts, books. Carla returned them unopened. Eventually, she was told that I wasn't part of that side of the family anymore. But Gloria never gave up. She wrote about hiring a private investigator, someone named Dennis. He sent her photos, blurry pictures of me at age 10 riding my bike, age 13 walking home from school, age 16 working a cash register at the gas station. I hated spying, she wrote, but it was the only way I could see that you were alive, that you were okay. I sat there, wiping my nose with the sleeve of my hoodie, feeling like my chest had been opened with a crowbar. Claire waited patiently. Then, when I was ready, she handed me another folder. This is everything Gloria collected. Photos, investigator reports, financial summaries, even receipts from a scholarship fund she tried to start in your name. Inside were hundreds of pages. I flipped through slowly. There were black and white printouts of me behind a counter at the discount mart, time-stamped. A picture of me sleeping in a bus seat with my backpack curled under my arm. Notes about my late-night shifts, my grades from community college, a list of overdue bills from the address I'd lived in 2 years ago. She had tracked my whole life, not out of control, but out of love. Quiet, constant love. I looked up. My dad and Carla, did they think they were getting anything? Claire hesitated for a moment, then she nodded. From what I understand, they were under the impression they'd be named in the will. I've reviewed their recent financial activity. She reached behind her and slid over a spreadsheet. New pontoon boat, conservatory remodel, a custom gaming setup for your half-brother. I stared at the paper. Then I laughed, short and bitter. I'd been rationing groceries. I'd been ignoring medical bills. I once pawned a bracelet I thought might have been my mom's, just to make rent. And they were spending money that never belonged to them. I sat back in the chair and closed my eyes. They thought Gloria would forget me, but she didn't. She remembered everything. Claire let me take the letter home. I read it again that night, curled up on the mattress in the corner of my room while my roommates blasted music down the hall. I read it out loud that time, whispering the words like I was talking to her. The next morning, Claire called. There's something else, she said. Gloria had one last request in her will. Of course she did. She asked that the reading of the will be conducted in front of your father and his family, in person, with me present. I didn't say anything for a moment. You mean she wanted them to hear it from me? Yes, Claire said. She was very specific. She wanted them to see you, to hear the truth, and to understand what they took. I sat at the edge of the bed, the corner of the letter still clenched in my hand. I don't even know how to be in a room with them, I said quietly. I haven't seen Carla since I was 19, and even then she acted like I was a guest in my own house. I'll be with you, Claire said gently. You won't be alone. That night I stood in front of the bathroom mirror and practiced saying nothing. I looked at myself, the cheap jeans, the discount eyeliner, the bitten nails, and I imagined standing across from Carla in her tailored pantsuit and Alan in his golf clothes. The ones that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. Then I opened the letter again, just one paragraph this time. You are not invisible, Maya. You never were. They tried to erase you, but I kept every piece. I let the words sink in. The next morning, I picked out the nicest thing I owned, a simple navy dress I'd worn once to a job interview, and ironed it 3 times. I straightened my hair as best I could. Then I packed Gloria's letter in a plastic folder and slipped it into my tote bag. When Claire picked me up outside the apartment, she gave me a nod. Ready? I nodded back. I want them to hear every word, because they thought I was gone. They thought they'd buried the past. But I was still here, and I was done staying quiet. Alan Delgado's house looked like something out of a renovation show. All clean stone, fresh siding, and a porch with brand new hanging ferns. The driveway still smelled like new asphalt. There was even a tiny water feature out front, gurgling like it had something to say. Claire parked at the curb, glancing at me. You sure? I nodded, clutching my bag. Let's do it. Carla answered the door before we could knock. She wore a white blouse, gold earrings, and that tight-lipped smile she always used when she didn't want to cause a scene, but still wanted you to know she was judging you. Maya, she said, her voice cold and thin. What a surprise. Claire Madsen, Claire said briskly. We spoke earlier. Yes, Carla replied. She stepped aside without offering a greeting. They're in the den. Inside, it smelled like lemon polish and money. The floors gleamed. The rug looked like it had never been walked on. Everything screamed curated comfort, and none of it felt like home. Alan sat stiffly in an oversized leather chair. My half-siblings, Dylan and Chloe, lounged on the couch staring at their phones. None of them looked up right away. Carla led us in and crossed her arms. So, what's this about? Claire opened her briefcase and pulled out a slim binder. As I mentioned on the phone, I represent the estate of Gloria Winters. This is the formal reading of her will. She specifically requested that it take place in your presence. Alan raised his eyebrows. I thought that had already been handled. It hadn't, Claire said. Then she looked at me. Maya, I swallowed, pulled the letter from my bag, and walked to the middle of the room. Gloria left me this, I said quietly. She wanted me to read it to you. Dylan finally looked up. Chloe rolled her eyes. I unfolded the paper and began. It wasn't long, just a page and a half, but each line was like a drop of ink in water, spreading, staining the room. I read Gloria's words aloud, about Tessa being her only daughter, about me being her granddaughter, about how she was cut out after my mom's death, about Carla returning birthday cards unopened, about hiring a private investigator just to make sure I was safe, about the love she never stopped feeling for me. When I finished, the silence was thick. Alan cleared his throat. That doesn't change anything. I mean, Maya wasn't. She's adopted. That's what we were told. Claire closed the binder with a soft snap. Actually, Mr. Delgado, I have copies of Maya's birth certificate, notarized hospital records, and a certified DNA test, all confirming she is the biological child of Tessa Winters. Carla's mouth opened, then closed. Claire wasn't done. Furthermore, Gloria Winters underwent a full psychiatric evaluation last year. Her mental capacity was sound. Her legal documents are clear, binding, and not subject to dispute. Any attempt to contest the will would be dismissed outright. Chloe snorted. So what? Maya gets a house or something? I looked right at her. Gloria left me everything. Now they looked up. Alan stood. Everything, Claire nodded. Yes, the lake property, the savings, the investments, the entire estate. Your family was not named as beneficiaries. Carla took a step forward. You've got to be joking. We've been family for— You told me I wasn't, I said, my voice sharp now. You told me I didn't belong. You said Gloria didn't consider me family. But you were wrong. You lied. Alan rubbed his temples, muttering something about misunderstanding. You spent money you didn't have, Claire added. The conservatory, the boat, the electronics. All of it made under the assumption you'd inherit. Dylan shifted uncomfortably. I looked at each of them, one by one. You erased me, but you don't get to keep what was never yours. The room was dead quiet. And this time, I let it stay that way. Alan followed me out onto the porch like he was trying to catch his breath. The screen door creaked behind him as it slowly shut. Inside, I could still hear Carla's voice rising, full of panic now, not control. Maya, he started. No, I said, turning to face him. Don't. He looked older than I remembered. Hair thinner, face sallow, still wearing the same soft-spoken charm he always hid behind when things got hard. I didn't know, he said weakly. Your mother's death, everything after, it was chaos. I wasn't thinking clearly. You let her erase my mom, I said. You let Carla rewrite history like Tessa never existed. Alan looked down at the porch floor. I didn't want to fight with her. Yeah, I said bitterly. You just let her fight with me instead. He swallowed hard. Please, Maya. You don't understand how things got so far. We didn't mean for any of this. You mean you didn't think I'd find out, I snapped. You thought I'd keep working overnight shifts, splitting rent with two strangers, while you guys waited for Gloria's money to roll in. That's not fair, I stared at him. Is it not? You spent it before you even had it. You treated her death like a payday. He didn't respond. He didn't have to. The silence said everything. Behind us, the door banged open again. Carla stomped out onto the porch, heels clicking like a warning. You can't just take everything, she barked. We've been part of that family for years. You were never part of her family, I shot back. She made that clear. Carla's eyes narrowed. You think this makes you better than us? That money won't fix your attitude. I turned to her calmly. I don't need it to fix anything. I needed the truth. And I've got it. You're nothing but a bitter girl with a grudge, she hissed. No, I said, stepping forward, voice even. I'm a daughter who was lied to, a granddaughter who was cut off, a person you treated like trash until you thought I was gone for good. Dylan and Chloe stood awkwardly in the doorway behind her now, looking like they didn't know whether to yell or hide. You're making a mistake, Alan said quietly. I turned to Claire, who had stood silently by this whole time, holding her folder like it was a sword. Is it clear that I don't intend to contest or amend anything? She nodded. Crystal clear. Then we're done, I said. You'll regret this, Carla shouted as I walked to the driveway. I turned back one last time. Number you will. You thought love was something you could silence. Gloria proved you wrong. I opened Claire's passenger door, slid inside, and shut it. Behind us, Alan just stood there, arms limp, mouth open, watching everything slip away. And for once, I didn't feel a single ounce of guilt. 6 months later, I woke up to the sound of lake water lapping against the rocks outside my bedroom window. No sirens, no neighbors fighting through thin walls, no fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, just quiet. The kind that sinks into your bones. The cabin Gloria left me wasn't huge. It was old, a little crooked in the corners, and it creaked when the wind blew too hard. But it was mine. Every drawer, every beam, every inch. And somehow, even after everything, it still felt like her. The first week I moved in, I found a cedar chest in the attic. It was locked, but the key had been taped to the bottom. Inside were stacks of letters, dozens of them. Some were addressed to me, others to Tessa. Some were never sealed at all. Half-finished thoughts scrawled in her careful handwriting. She'd written me birthday cards every year, Christmas letters too, some with drawings she must have done herself. Pencil sketches of a child's face she only remembered in dreams. I read them one by one. They were full of things I never got to hear growing up. Stories about my mom's teenage years, about how I used to fall asleep on Gloria's chest during afternoon naps. She called me Little Tessa in some of them. There were photos tucked into the envelopes. Me in a swing. Me in a little pink dress, grinning so wide it looked like my face couldn't hold it all. I didn't remember any of those days, but Gloria had remembered all of them. By the end of the first month, I had started a small nonprofit with part of the inheritance. Just like Gloria said she hoped I would in her letter. It's called Second Light. We help young women who are aging out of foster care or trying to escape controlling households. The kind of women who are told they don't belong anywhere. The kind of women I used to be. I finished my associate's degree that spring. The diploma's still in the envelope it came in, sitting on the kitchen counter under a coffee mug. It's not the fanciest achievement in the world, but I worked for it. No one stole it from me. That made it worth everything. Alan called once. Just once. He said things had been tight, that the family was still adjusting, and that if I had it in my heart, he'd appreciate a little help covering some unexpected expenses. I gave him Claire's number and told him to go through her. I haven't heard from him since. Carla sends holiday cards now. Glossy photos of Chloe in her senior year and Dylan pretending to look happy in front of a fake Christmas tree. I drop them in the trash unopened. It's not about revenge anymore. It's about peace. The kind of peace that comes from knowing that even when someone tried to erase you, someone else was quietly keeping the record. And now, finally, I get to live like I was never forgotten. Because I wasn't. Not really. The garden still bloomed, even after all those years of neglect. I didn't know the names of half the flowers, but Gloria must have. You could tell by the way she planted them. A little wild, a little free, but still somehow orderly. Everything growing toward the sun, like it knew where to go. I brought a folding chair out that morning, the kind with a cup holder and a mesh back. I set it right beside the old stone bench that faced the lake, the one I imagined she must have used in the evenings. The letter I'd read 100 times was folded in my lap. I was alone, but it didn't feel empty. The air smelled like lavender and lake breeze. The wind picked up, brushing my hair across my face the way my mom used to. I'd started to feel her again lately, not as a memory, but as a presence. When I watched dragonflies skim across the water. When I stirred my coffee with the back of a spoon, the way Gloria always did. I looked around the garden. It wasn't perfect. Not yet. Some weeds still poked through the brick path, and the roses had taken over the fence. But I liked it that way. Not everything had to be fixed. That was the biggest thing I'd learned. Gloria didn't leave me money to fix my life. She didn't think I needed fixing. She left it because she loved me, and because for so long I had been taught I wasn't worth anything. But I was. I was worth something to her. I was worth remembering. I leaned back in the chair and let the sunlight hit my face. There were no voices in my head now, no old echoes of Carla's sharp tone or Alan's disappointed sighs. Just birds, wind, and the creak of the dock shifting gently in the water. Somewhere out there, they were still spinning in their own noise. Alan with his missed opportunities, Carla with her bitterness, Dylan and Chloe learning that lies don't last. But not me. I wasn't part of that anymore. I had a garden to tend, a lake to watch, a life to grow. And finally, I knew the real inheritance wasn't the money or the cabin or even the truth. It was love, and I'd carried it all along.